welcome to Iron Sharpens Iron, the interview show where we further craft our mindsets, outlooks, and philosophies while going toe-to-toe with a guest. As always, I am the Mettleist, and today I am joined by my good friend, Brian Yauger. He's an extremely well-rounded creative who focuses on sports writing, but he also has taken an interest in clothing and art design, as well as personal writing. We've interacted on Twitter for a little bit over a year now, and I've enjoyed talking to him ever since then. Link to some of his work will be in the description down below. Brian, welcome to the show.
How's it going today?
It's going well, man. You were on my list of people that I had to get on this, and I'm glad that we were able to make it happen right away.
Hey, that's pretty flattering. I'm kind of honored about that.
Yeah, for sure. So real quick, as I just kind of said, you're kind of all over the place like me. We're very creative people. We do a lot of cool things. So let's just talk about any avenue that you want to start with. I'm willing to go off of. But I think we should start with sports.
Yeah, that's what I get paid to do. So
right.
I think sports is probably the best area to go.
So how did you get your start? Give us your sports background and kind of what sparked your interest in sports writing and sports journalism.
Oh boy. Honestly, I can't even remember a time where sports wasn't in my life.
Until now?
Well, yeah, until now. This is like the only time in my life where sports hasn't been a constant. Very, very early memories. My parents always joke I was 2 years old on like a training potty reading a Sports Illustrated.
Really?
Wearing a John Elway Broncos jersey. Like, yeah, sports has always been in my life. I never wanted to do broadcast. People always are like, oh, Brian, you should do ESPN when you grow up. And broadcast is not my thing. I don't like being on camera, any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought writing would probably be the natural progression. And I've been doing sports writing since 2017 now, professionally.
And now you just graduated from Youngstown State University. Congratulations on that. And so
thank you.
What's the goal now, right? So you are writing professionally now, but what's the ultimate plan? What do you have in mind?
I don't know. I kind of want to stick with what I'm doing now. I would like to stay writing in sports in this area for at least a while. The ultimate goal was to wind up writing a book, and it's probably going to be based off of my senior project.
Okay, right.
Because I have so much material on that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, I'm sure.
But yeah, once I write a book, I think that's kind of the big goal,
thing.
At least in writing.
Yeah, one of my goals too is I have several ideas for books, and that's definitely on like my Mount Rushmore of accomplishments. If I can write that book, if I get that book deal or whatever the case may be, even if it's self-published, that's on like my bucket list of things to do.
Yep.
So once again, like that's one of the things that I've really enjoyed about our interactions is there's a lot of similarities. We've done Pokemon. We've done just creative like design. We've both helped each other in some ways creatively, and then there's obviously the sports element to that as well, which is actually what started our relationship, our friendship. You know, being both Charlotte Hornets fans in Ohio, you don't find a whole lot of us up here. So
no, we're probably the only two.
We are probably the only two. And so just being able like to have that as the starting point, I thought it made it really easy just to be able to kind of form that connection with you. So let's talk about this project that you did, and it was very interesting to me. You sent me over the early draft of it, and basically it was about the tales and the folklore behind a minor league hockey team based in Youngstown. And you grew up going to games. It quickly became your entry kind of into hockey, and so you do have a lot of fond memories there. And that team is no longer in the city; it's no longer around. And so you are one of the lasting legacies of this team. So kind of talk about your project.
So it kind of all started day one of my senior project class. Up until then, I had no idea what I wanted to write. And that first day, the professor, who was also the chair of the department, was like, all right, guys, next time we have class, I need you to come up with 3 ideas. And while he was talking, something just clicked. Like, this is what I need to do. I have all of these people on Facebook that I added as soon as I made Facebook because I was obsessed as a kid. And it just kind of all snowballed from there. I met up with one of the guys in person when we were still allowed to do that, and talked with him for about 40 minutes or so. At that point, it was the longest interview I ever did. And originally, it was only going to be like 3 or 4 stories. Now, because I'm still working on it after submitting it, it'll be 15 and still
Wow.
going. Yeah. And it's snowballed out of control. I am still blown away at everything that happened, everybody that's been willing to talk to me, everybody that's been excited to help about all this. It's still kind of overwhelming. Even though I got the project submitted, I got it graded. Parts of it are being published now at my job, but it's not even really about that for me. Doing it was the satisfaction. I
What
didn't care. I got the grade. I got an A, but my reward wasn't the grade. My reward was actually doing this. And that's kind of my philosophy about everything. Like I graduated college, big whoop. Frank, I'm happy that I'm done, but I'm more excited that what I got to do along the way, the stories I got to tell, the people I got to talk to, everything I got to write, that was my reward. That to me is worth more than the diploma.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I had a similar experience as well with my senior project, and I actually focused that entire semester on building this and building what I'm doing right now. So I think we kind of share similar parallels there. But what was it that made you realize that? What was the moment where you were like, I have to do this? I have to put all this time, energy, and focus into telling these stories.
I think really it was when I decided that this was what I was doing in class that day. I obviously I didn't think it would go this far. That kind of hit me probably around middle of February, maybe early March. As I was doing all these interviews, I reached out to probably 20 or so people, and 17 or so got back to me. That's when it really hit me that I am just going to put all of my time into this. And then as soon as everything started shutting down, I said, screw it. Getting rid of everything else. I don't care about the rest of my classes. I'm making this the best damn project that I can possibly ever make. And all of my mental effort, physical effort, everything went into it. I like completely shut out the entire outside world to make it happen.
Yeah, one of the things that I really liked during the first draft that you sent me was first off the organization of it because I really like the page layout, but that's obviously nothing that I can show or talk about here. But the other thing was, as you said, the amount of people that you were able to talk to. And I believe at the time you sent it to me, there were about 2 or 3 stories fully cemented in. That was during the early writing stages. But as you just said, you were able to talk to 17 out of 20 people initially out of the first batch of people that you reached out to. And as we talked about, those included like some players, some of your favorite players growing up. So, what was that moment like being able to go back and like you're living out your childhood dream now at this point? This was a team that you grew up with. You were going to games all the time as kids, and now here you are 10 years later, 15 years later, and you're actually talking about not only your experiences with the team, but these players that you grew up idolizing, their experiences as well.
I I think that moment that like holy shit, I'm actually doing this. It really kicked in when I was interviewing my favorite player growing up, who I had won a contest. This would have been 2007. I won a contest that they were doing called the Junior Reporter Contest, and I was basically doing what I do now. I'd go to a game, watch the game, write about what happened, interview people after,
Hmm.
and that was the player I interviewed. And then the 13 odd years later, I'm doing the same thing again, except the dynamic is so different
Hmm.
from being a 11-year-old or however old I was to now being 24. I'm The dynamic was different. It was just two guys talking, and it was so weird that all these years ago this was like a hero of mine, and now we're just talking like two guys. And that's when it really hit me that I did it. I don't know what specifically I did, but I did it. Like, I'm here. When I first interviewed him all those years ago, that's when it hit me that that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I did it.
Right. No, yeah, that's so cool that having that full circle moment. And I can kind of roundabout relate to that as well. I don't know if you know this, but I worked for the Cavs during the 2018 playoffs all the way through the finals. And so I was around that whole finals run. Like that was the obviously that was the last year that LeBron was here, and just being able to watch him up close. I mean, I was watching Kevin Love up close daily, but then just watching other guys kind of come in and out. Like I met Steph Curry. Like how fucking sick is that? And so, being able to work the NBA finals at 21, 22, that was just a crazy experience for me. And sports has always kind of been in reach for me. It's something that I've had interest in doing, but I don't know, especially now with my such cynical perspective around that sports don't actually matter, quote unquote. I don't know if I could willingly do that now, but even still, like as a child, like you tell me at 10 years old, hey, you're gonna work the NBA finals before you turn 22. Like that's a fucking dream come true, you know? So I very much
Oh,
relate to that experience that you have of, meeting these people that like you see on TV or that you grew up watching in person, and now here you are getting the chance to actually talk to them.
and it's even crazier. I'm interviewing other guys, and they're like, "Oh, if I ever come back to Youngstown, let's go get a beer." Like, it's the dynamic is still kind of freaks me out a little bit
Yeah.
because when you're in that situation, I'm still thinking, "Oh yeah, I'm 11 years old. I'm going to watch these guys play." But no, I'm a grown ass adult, and I'm doing this for a job. Like,
Right.
but we're still just talking like dudes.
Yeah, no, exactly. One of the things that was interesting that you said was you messaged these people on Facebook. Is that correct?
Yeah, I reached out on Facebook. I
That's
added a lot of
wild.
these guys when I first made my Facebook. God knows how many years ago at this point, but they were like the first people I requested because I wanted to keep track of what they were doing after hockey and all that.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's such an interesting starting point, I think, because a lot of the channels, at least now, I guess a lot of the channels that you would typically go to is maybe like Twitter DMs. Maybe you try and find like a contact with like an email, just basic forms of communication. But the fact that you had these people added on Facebook previously and you used that as your launching point, that's really fascinating for me. And very well done by you to have that foresight as as like an 11-year-old or a 12-year-old.
I wish it was foresight. It was more just I was obsessed
No, right? I know.
and I wanted to had to have it in my life, even. But hey, it paid off. So
No, it absolutely did. I want to shift gears now, and I want to talk about some of the other creative ventures that you have. Like I said, you're very much like me in the sense that we are all over the place. It's sports, it's video games, it's graphic design, it's art, it's sneakers for both of us, we very much run in similar circles no matter what circles they may be. So let's just pick another one, whatever one you want to lead with. We just did sports, so I'll let you take the conversation from here.
I have a pair of shoes coming in the mail in the next day or two. So I think shoes might be the move.
All right, let's do it. So, sneakers for both of us, they're art. They're a form of expression. We know your favorite color is teal, like my walls back here. You like those South Beach vibes. You like the
Yep.
Charlotte Hornets. It all just kind of runs in the same, it all runs in the same lane. I know what shoes you got coming, and it's the N64 Air Maxes, I believe, correct?
Yes.
So
Correct.
those are on my list of kicks to get. One of my favorites, just obviously as I just said, video games, man. So you throw in one of my favorite consoles growing up as a kid onto a sneaker, gotta cop it, and of course the fact that we are both Nintendo stands, that plays a factor into it as well.
And part of it is I want to take my camera. I want to do a little photo shoot, have my N64 with the shoes draped over
Beautiful.
it, like I'm making like an old poster or something.
Beautiful. That would be a really good print, actually. I really like that idea. So let's just talk about shoes. Let's just talk. We'll do shoes and then also clothing because you do have an interest in that as well. When did the sneaker obsession start? If you remember your first pair, a story, whatever the case may be, tell it, man.
Uh, this is actually pretty recent. This is only probably dates back to high school.
Okay, yeah.
Um, I just I noticed a pair of Adidas shoes, and OCD plays a huge part of it.
Yeah.
I have to match. I have to
Yep, same.
top to bottom,
Same. Top to
schemed
bottom.
up,
Yes.
and I just started noticing these pairs of Adidas that were super nice. And I wanted to stick with Adidas because it was what I liked and all that. And then things changed. I started getting Nikes once Michigan switched over to Jordan brand. And as a Michigan fan, I'm going to have a lot of Michigan stuff that I was wearing all the time. So I wanted to have the right shoes to go with it. And then it just kind of snowballed. Around probably 2 years ago, it really snowballed. And now it's at the point where I'm getting a pair every couple months. Quite a few of them I've sold off, but it's expression, like you said. And when I'm wearing, I like to feel like me. And when I'm wearing my South Beaches or my N64s or whatever I'm wearing, it's me. It's nobody else is going to go around with a pink track jacket and the shoes to match.
Right.
Like, people see the pink track. It's bad. People would see me on campus and they could see the jacket from super far away. And they're like, oh, look, there's Brian with the pink Nike track jacket.
Mm-hmm.
He's at it again. And everywhere I go, people are like, oh, the shoes. People point out my shoes everywhere I go.
Yep.
It feels good.
Is that the best compliment you can get? Because that's my favorite compliment to receive.
Absolutely.
Nice shoes, nice J's, whatever the case may be.
Absolutely. You can say whatever you want about my face, my writing, whatever compliment you have. Nothing beats
the shoes.
Love your shoes.
Yep. Correct. So what's your favorite pair right now? Do you have one?
Probably the South Beach 97s.
Okay.
At least in my collection.
What's the grail?
The grail is to get. I used to have them, but they were too big, so I had to sell them. The Jordan 3 Flyknits.
Yes, I did know that. I think we've talked about that before in the past. That was a shoe that you got. Yes, right. You bought them, but they were too big.
Because I'm like, oh yeah, I can fit in a size 12.
No.
When I can wear anywhere from a 10.5 to an 11.5 if I'm lucky. But they were about $80 cheaper than any other size. So I said, fuck it. I can stuff the toes.
Yeah, I've done that before. I got multiple pairs of Air Force Ones in the closet back there that I got to stuff the toes in every now and then. It's a tough game though, but if you do have that pair that you got to get, it's what you got to do, man. You got to take that bullet sometimes. For me, I've talked about this before. My favorite pair of shoes that I'm targeting right now is my dream shoe right now is a Charlotte Hornets Air Jordan 10s. Because I love that you actually have the branding to go with it.
Yep, me too.
And so my whole thing is, as soon as once I make it to the Carolinas, once I make it to Charlotte, that's when I'm pulling the trigger on those. I want that to be like a reward for making that leap from Ohio to Carolina. So that's
absolutely.
So that's easily my top 3. That's probably number 1. But then right now, man, as I told you, I tweeted this multiple times. Those court purple Air Jordan 1s. Whoo! Woo! That's a shoe that I would wear with this right now. Every time I make a video, I would have those on my feet.
Even if nobody saw them.
Even if nobody saw them, right?
You would know.
All of my shots are from the waist up. And it doesn't matter if nobody saw them, they would be on my feet regardless.
I thought about having mine on too, even though I'm sitting up in my room.
Right, at least, it's up. Like I said, man, it makes the outfit. It's like, to me, you can have whatever you want up top, or like up top around your waist, doesn't matter. I need the shoes tie the outfit together. That's been my long-standing belief, and that's why shoes are my favorite thing. My favorite outfit, accessory, however you want to lay them. however you want to label them, that is my favorite part. It's my go-to. It's what I love, and it's just, as we said, Ben, it's the expression.
Yep. For me, the shoes are the focus.
Yes, same.
I build
You
around
build
the
around
shoe.
shoes, yeah. I pretty much do that. I mostly do that. I'll go through the closet. I'll pick out something that I know I want to wear, and then it's all right. What's the fit that goes with it?
Yep.
How did you become? Because we kind of touched on it a little bit. What's up with the color teal, man? Why is it your favorite color? Why is the hot pink the South Beach colorway? And so if that's the case, why aren't you a Miami Heat fan?
Teal has always been my favorite color.
Okay.
I just never realized it until a couple years ago. Like, thinking back, like when I would play like Madden 04, Madden 05, I always made a custom team. I took the Hawk logo, like the default Hawk logo that they had in the game. They were teal and blue, like just a sort of a royal navy, almost right in between that. The Warren Hawks. I don't know why. It made no sense.
No.
Like, I always loved the San Jose Sharks uniforms, like going into hockey. I don't know. It was just always something that was kind of there. And it never really clicked with me until probably 2 or 3 years ago. Like, everything you like has been teal or mint or in some way tied into that color. So just go balls to the wall. If it's your favorite color, why aren't you wearing it more?
I
like,
love that.
I never had much in teal. Like, I never had clothes that were teal or any of that. So I said, screw it. Like, all I really had was a teal bucket hat, or a mint bucket hat, I should say, and a pair of Jordan 1s, like Jordan 1 lows that are mint. And that's really it.
And then it all just spiraled from there. Like, that was the starting point, and now here you are. Even right now, you're wearing kind of a mint shirt.
Yep.
That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, so my favorite color was Carolina blue, just because ride or die, UNC every day, 24/7. And ever since this whole thing started, it's shifted to purple, man. I want every single purple sneaker. I'm adding purple to all my collections, no matter what it may be. I got purple Sharpies right here. It's now my color. I've adopted it. I've pushed Carolina blue, powder blue to number 2, and purple's my new number 1. What else do we got to talk about? I want to talk about, I think this is also very important. I want to talk about some of the creative projects you have either in your head that you're comfortable sharing, or things that you got in the works. We've talked about just personally, privately, we've talked about a few different things. So whatever, if you want to share something, if you want to just tell me something that you're working on, what's on your mind right now creatively?
I have an open book with all this. There are probably, I want to say 5 to 10 projects that I have swirling around in my head that I've either put work into, want to put work into. Right now, I'm remodeling my room. I'm going to have a little entertainment center in the corner with a turntable, all that. Big set of speakers, but that's not really what we're talking about. I want to do a clothing line eventually.
We talked about this a little bit.
If I can ever secure the capital. And really, it ties back into my OCD. It's really hard to find clothes that match my shoes. When I have such I don't want to say obscure taste in design, because it's not really obscure if I can find all sorts of shirts and jackets in my color scheme. But shoes are kind of harder to get that pinpoint.
Yes, because every shade's just a little bit different.
Yep. Like my pink track jacket, there are no shoes in that color.
Yeah, it is a bright pink track jacket. It is as bold, as popping as it could possibly get.
I thought the South Beaches were that fit, but the teal isn't right.
Oh.
And the teal is off. The shoes are mint green. The jacket's teal. And Nike, and it's also Air Max branded too. So that throws an entire other wrench into it.
Right.
Because the shoes I would wear with it have to be Air Maxes.
So you got like a checklist, basically. You got a checklist. It's color. It's whatever colors you have in it. So we'll just say it's pink, it's teal, but then it's also like brand. Like it can't be Nike, it has to
Yep.
be Air Max. It has to match
Yeah.
entirely.
Yes. It's a problem. So it kind of popped in my head where the brand of the clothing really wouldn't matter
Hmm.
if there's not a focus on the brand. I just want clothes that I can wear with shoes, whatever shoes I want, and I wouldn't have to worry because there would be a color for it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I told you, that makes a lot of sense to me as somebody who is also in the space and just trying to plan outfits. And actually, it's really funny because you have that ability then to do what you like. You know, you're naturally going to take a pair of shoes and then figure out, as we said, you start with the shoes and then you match the outfit from there. But then with this clothing line, it's taking that same concept and it's then creating the shirts, it's creating the sweats, it's creating the tracksuit, whatever the case may be. So you're basically just taking everything that you're already doing and are applying a creative model to it.
Yes. Like I just got a pair of neon soles a month or two ago. Air Max 97 neon soles. Those shoes are hard as hell to match for unless you're wearing black.
I gotta pull these up right now. Hang on, I'm pulling these up. I need.
That
I
oh,
should.
sorry, I'll keep talking while you're doing it. The orange is super super hard because every time I think I find the right orange, it's just a hair off because it's not
Oh,
either. It's
you
not.
just posted a picture with these, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay, I got you. Oh yeah, these are. It's not like an orange orange. It's like a red orange.
yeah. It's listed as red,
But that
but
ain't red. No.
no. When I first held them in my hands, I'm like, oh, that's almost coral. Like that's not.
Right.
So it's super hard to get a color for that. Same with the blue.
Yeah, that blue, it's a little bit. Hang on, let me pull that back up. I closed out of it. I should not have done that. Yeah, that blue color, it's not like a natural blue. It's almost. You want to know what color it reminds me of? You know that Aqua Fresh toothpaste? It's that color blue.
Yep, that's exact. Like that's what I call them when people ask. Like if my parents will ask, like when I say neon souls, that doesn't click with them. So I
Right.
say, oh yeah, the aqua fresh ones.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to be able to and that's the funny thing about us as sneakerheads, right? We have like four different names for shoes because we have to be able to distinguish what they are to different subsets of people. You know, for I'm talking between me and you, I can throw out any names. I can throw out Concord. I'm gonna just use basic examples, right? I Concord 11s, but I'm talking to someone else who
Yep.
doesn't know what I'm talking about. Oh, it's this shoe that has black and white. Like it's very simple. There's patent leather, and that's it. So, you know, it's a
Yep.
lot of just describing. It's a difference between giving something a name and then actually describing what it looks like to somebody.
And especially when I have now 3 pairs of Air Max 97s, it it's going to get a little difficult.
Is that your favorite
Like I
silhouette?
no, actually,
What is?
it, Jordan threes,
I think I did know that. Yeah. Okay, go back
but
to your point. We'll circle back to silhouettes in a second.
Air Maxes have that comfort factor. Um, shit, where was I even going? Yeah, but matching is everything, and it kind of inspired me to want to have everything fixed, even if it were to never be a business.
Just at least
Because
to have it.
I don't have a business mindset. I've sat through marketing classes, and I'm like,
Hmm.
holy shit, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Like I want nothing to do with this. I would need a partner and a partner for that partner
Yeah.
to even think of doing something like that.
Right.
But
You just want to be able to have like that creative freedom. You just kind of make what you want, even if it is just for yourself.
yeah, like Tyler the Creator, probably my biggest inspiration on all fronts. Like
Hmm.
music, design, everything. He does what he wants, and he does what he wants. If he wants to wear fucking polka dots and striped pants, he does it. He has his design quirks, and he sticks to them. And look at him. You can't go to golf and get anything because it's always sold out instantly.
Hmm.
And he stuck to his guns and took stuff that's not really conventional design wise. I mean, he always jokes that, oh yeah, I dressed like a kindergartner.
Right.
And it is kindergarten like, but it sells.
Yeah, no, it certainly does. You raised an interesting question there, and I kind of want to stick on it just a little bit longer. Who are some of your creative inspirations? You just mentioned Tyler, but do you have anybody else that really sticks out to you?
Most of them are music,
Right.
even though writing is probably my primary focus. Music is where my inspiration comes from.
Hmm.
uh, Prince, obviously.
Yeah, you just posted on Twitter earlier this week. You posted like your top 50 albums, I think it was.
Top 100.
Ah, yes, top 100. Yeah, I mean, I peeped some of that. That was cool.
Yeah, like, and even if it's not specific artists, my inspiration comes from a lot of, even if it's not music, it's music.
Hmm.
Whether it be like the music genre future funk, which is just chopped up Japanese pop songs. That that aesthetic that comes with it,
Yeah.
that kind of formed me. Like, take a bunch of weird shit and blend it up, and it's inspired me to make my own shit that's even weirder.
Yeah, no, it's
Like, everything
that,
everything I do has sort of come from that blend.
yeah, and I was just gonna say that's a really interesting point, right? Because a lot of times with people, if they're creative like us or whatever the case may be, they aren't. There's always this fear of what do I put out? Do I put out stuff that I like, or do I put out stuff that other people are going to like? And so it's this very weird psychological thing of needing permission to do something. But if
Yep.
you're seeing Tyler or Future Funk or whatever, like anything like that, where as you said, you're just throwing shit into a blender and you're seeing what comes out of it. That's kind of just giving you that inspiration. It's giving you that permission to create whatever the hell you want after that.
And that's really where Tyler inspired me,
Hmm.
because before Tyler blew up and became everything he is now, he was just some weirdo that was rapping on the internet.
Certainly, yep.
Like, and now he's a Grammy winner. He's making so much money off of his designs that he wants. He's just doing shit that he would wear or he would listen to. And that's kind of the mentality I want. Even if it
Mhm.
flops, because like I said, I don't ever expect it to even take off business wise. I just want to do stuff that I personally want. I want that agency to be able to say, this is mine, this is my shit, I made it. It's for me and for me only. And if you fuck with it, you fuck with it.
Yeah, that's a lot of where my mindset is as well. Is pretty much you can get on this train because we're gonna take off, or you can keep your ass back, right? And
Yep.
it's one of,
Like,
right. Regardless, we're going to do things our way. If you like it, dope. If not, later.
yep. Like, this train might go right off the fucking tracks into a river, but I'm gonna conduct it, and we're gonna see what happens.
Are you like that in a lot of other just general aspects of life as well, or no? Because I am. I'm very much fuck the system, fuck structure. I'm gonna kind of go rogue here, and if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Because I would rather die on my own sword than go down with the system and with the sinking ship.
It all depends.
I
I
know that.
guess it's purely circumstantial.
Okay.
Like, some things I'm completely, let's just do it by the book, but it's usually the shit that I don't care as much about.
Yeah.
If it's something that I'm passionate about and I care about, I want complete control. I want to do it. I want to do it the right way.
Yeah.
And the right way just so happens to be the exact way that I want it done. But
Yeah. That to me, like that's just our creative side of things, right?
yeah,
It's not like we're control freaks, but when we have a vision for something and we have an idea of how we think we can elevate something to the next level, we have to do everything in our power to make
yeah.
that happen.
Like, I'll see shit playing out in my head, and I don't always have the ability to make it happen exactly how I see it, which is a problem because I repressed my artistic side in middle and high school. I didn't, because I was playing along with the system.
Yeah.
I I wasn't comfortable enough with myself to fully go balls to the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I tricked myself like, oh yeah, no, you don't like that. You don't like fucking vibrant colors and being insane.
Yeah, right.
No,
You fell victim
you
to
just
it.
want to be normal.
Yeah.
Then
Quote
around
quote normal, right?
yeah, then around my senior year, something started to kick in, and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of not being satisfied because I'm trying to fit a mold. And that's, I always joke, like, yeah, it's really when my insanity kicked off,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more of just my insanity is just me being more comfortable in my own skin.
Right. No, that's a really great point, and that's something that I've spent a lot of time just thinking about and talking to other people about. Is at what point do you realize that you yourself you're more valuable than the other collective whole? Because this is your life, you are in charge of it. You do have that agency, the word you use, to kind of just take control and adopt things and just mold things how you want them, rather than how the overall system wants you to mold them into. Um, I had a very good follow up question, and it just slipped my head. What kind of so this is my question. Now that you are in this space and kind of the seal has been broken and you are kind of re-enhancing yourself into this full creative mode, as you said, high school it was towards the end of high school you were really starting to get out of it, and now here you are several years later. And what has been your favorite either creative endeavor or thing that you have done that has really left you satisfied creatively?
And probably my senior project.
Yeah.
I know, like, I feel like that's the first time I've ever been able to take that agency, do what I want, and get it done.
Okay.
That's kind of the problem when I have a ton of ideas swirling around,
Mm-hmm.
is that I have a ton of projects started on my computer.
Always
Like I have
relatable.
like yeah, like music that I've tried to make. I have designs that I've made. So much that I've started and haven't been able to finish due to time, which now I have all the time in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But no, my senior project was the first time I really felt like I did it. And I'm still over here fucking adding more to it
Yeah.
because it wasn't done enough to my liking. But I think that was really the first time in probably in my life that something felt complete, but
Interesting.
not even close to being complete.
Right, because yeah, you're still working on it now, right? But I feel like maybe complete is the wrong word, but maybe it was, I don't know, maybe it was far enough ahead to where you saw the point of seeing it through.
And that would probably be the same. And that's also because I'm super fickle when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah.
And like that, it goes back to the music thing. I've tried making music on a couple different occasions,
Mm-hmm.
all sample based type stuff, and the concept will change at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
I will completely change a concept idea, like, oh no, I want to do it this way, and then everything that I made before
Mm-hmm.
has to get
Has
it
to be
has to get
changed.
changed,
Yeah.
has to get changed, has to get thrown in the trash, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has to go out the window, and I'm back to square one. If I could settle
Yeah.
a little more and be a little less erratic, I would be so much better off, and I would have so much more completed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why I'll go into this. That's why I've enjoyed this new writing endeavor that I've been doing,
Great segue. That was
because
a pro
I
segue. Keep going.
can you tell I've done this before?
Yeah.
Uh, it's it's not meant to be a finished product.
Right.
I can put it out there, and then I can say I still have more shit to say about this. So here's another 1,500 words
Mm-hmm.
about this topic or that topic, and I like that freedom that it's given me, and I don't know why I didn't start doing this sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Probably time or emotionally repressing myself, whatever you want to call it. Um, but once I started doing it and started writing about the shit that's actually swirling in my brain, it it just flowed. Like one of these that I wrote that's on Medium, it came out, which thank you for suggesting that to me.
Yeah.
It came out in about a half hour, and it was
Hmm.
long. It was like 700-800 words in a half hour.
Right. Yeah. One of the things that I think and I'll say this about Kanye. The one thing that I think Kanye did that I loved was on The Life of Pablo when he released the first version and then he released an updated version a month later with either little verse changes or just different vocal tweaks, and then he did the same thing again a third time. And that kind of speaks to your point about being fickle, right? And being just fluid in creating. As you just said, you can go back now and you can add different thoughts to an already existing piece, or you can create a new one. And I felt like Kanye took that route with music, and that was something no one's really done before. But now with the ability to, stream and easily update whatever content you put out, it made it a lot easier. And I think that was just a giant revelation that he had, and it has led to a spark, because I've seen other artists kind of do similar things as well.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember the jokes like, oh, he released a patch for his album,
Right.
like like he's updating, and I as much as I like that, I kind of don't want to do that.
Interesting.
Like I understand the needs for it,
Hmm.
but and this is probably why I'll never put anything out ever, is because I want I want it to be not a living piece of art.
Okay.
I want it to just be what it is,
Hmm.
but I can't decide what I want it to be
Yeah, I
for
hear you.
more than like a month at a time.
Yeah, one of the things that was interesting with this project in particular, and I've talked about this before with other people, but I haven't talked about it to you, so I have no problem repeating myself here. I was very torn about how I wanted to present it. Obviously, I had this idea of, all right, I want to start this motivational, inspirational brand. I want it to be through the lens of a superhero. So, what does that actually look like? Obviously, we have so many different comics and shows and movies that I can go off of. And one of my biggest things that I wanted to do initially was go outside and shoot everything cinematically. My first set of 5 videos, I had my friends helping me shoot it. We did it on the top of parking garages, just out in different parts of the city. And that was really cool. But at the same time, we live in Cleveland where it snows 6 months out of the year. It's freezing. And so there's not a whole lot of room or, ability for me if I needed to go out by myself to film for 3 hours in the freezing cold weather in a blizzard. And so I had to make that adjustment, and it's not an adjustment that I wanted to make, but I felt like I had to for the sake of my content, to where I needed to shift everything over to a green screen. Just because of the fact that I needed to find a way to produce content as quickly and as efficiently as possible, while also still finding ways to kind of keep that brand identity that I want, even though it's not the full vision for it right now.
And that's what I really love about your ingenuity. Like you knew that there were limitations in where we are.
Hmm.
You found a way to work around it,
Right.
and that's really what I need to start doing more of. I really need to find, because in photography, it's because I taught myself how to do that. It's really hard around here to find good lighting for stuff.
Yes, very hard.
Like, so I'll eventually just suck it up and get all the equipment myself for lighting,
Hmm.
because I can't rely on natural lighting. The lighting in my room is terrible.
Right.
I can't do it in my entire house. It's terrible. Like, even if I'm just doing like stupid little photoshops of my dog, like I'm looking at it, the picture that I took, like, oh, the lighting is so shitty. Like the fact that you took the initiative and did this, did that to make what you want to do, what you wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of that. And I really need to take some notes and follow through on that.
Yeah, I think it's just really important, right? Creative flexibility.
Yes.
Um, like I said, we have a lot of visions for things of how we want them to look. And the way that I always think backwards. I think, all right, I know what I want this to look like. How do we get there immediately? And then from there, and then you figure it out. You find a way to figure that shit out. Um, And so for me, it's one of those things like what to me it pretty much came down to what's more important. Is it more important for me to, let's just say, create, we'll just say 24 videos a year? Just really focus on like those summer months, those spring months, and just kind of stack things up then. So is it more important for me to create 24 videos a year, or if I just limited myself to inside, confined myself, I could do 100 videos in a year? And obviously, when you look at it like that, it's a no-brainer. So it's one of those things, you
Absolutely.
bite the bullet, and then once you grow, and if you do get that opportunity to move to a North Carolina, to move to a Florida, to move to an LA, obviously those circumstances change, the people you're around change, and then you might have that opportunity to then take that jump into what you want this thing to ultimately become.
And even if you hypothetically were to stay here, you still have the freedom in those couple months
Right.
to grind out some summer shit in addition to the content that you're working on the green screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I like having limitations. I like having a box
Yep.
because I like knowing everything I can do to get around the box.
Interesting.
I love having parameters on shit
Mm-hmm.
because I want to know how to get around each and every single corner. I want to know how I can game this to my advantage. Or like for my project, there were no limitations. It was hard. It was really hard. Like really the only limitation was they said you need at least 2 stories or at least 1 story and 2 additional components, whatever it may be.
Okay.
Obviously, I had 14 stories
Yeah.
and a handmade map.
Right.
So I completely took the limitations that they gave me, or whatever you want to call it, parameters, limitations, and skirted it as best I could, where I wasn't violating anything. I
No.
wasn't going against any parameters. I wasn't breaking any rules. But like pretty much the entire concept of this thing, this entire talk, I did it my own way. And that's why I like when trying to do it, and it's any sort of endeavor, I like having limitations so I can break them.
I
It's almost like some anime shit. Like
yeah.
I want to go even further beyond my limitations. I want to break those limits and show what I can really do.
Is that what drives you overall? Like as like a general macro creative thesis? Is that probably like your main thing?
I Now that I never really even thought about it, but yeah, like I want what I can do, but I want to do it better. I want to do more of what I can do.
I got you. I hear you. Yeah, that makes
Like
that makes a lot of sense.
I never even thought about this until you told me. So
I look. I mean, like I said, man. The whole point of this podcast, right, is to be able to just kind of talk to cool, fascinating people who I enjoy, at least right now, before we kind of expand into more prominent guests, shall we say. And really just kind of pick your brain, make you think about certain things and new aspects, and really just, as I said in the intro, let me pull up the intro one more time, right? We further craft our mindsets, outlooks, and philosophies. So that's the point of this. So I basically succeeded my job already.
yeah, you've already, what are we, 40 some minutes in,
Yeah.
and yeah, and you've already done it.
What do you have any, like, let's just stick on this topic. Do you have any other either macro ways of thinking or like a very specific life philosophy that you live by? I know that
Kind of just
I know that is like a massive question. So
oh, it's kind of hard, but I think I can explain it.
let's go for it.
And it's do my own thing. It's do what I want. I I have a hard time doing shit for me.
Okay.
I do a lot of shit for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Like
Like
I
like
will
coming on this podcast. Thank you again.
yeah, like at the drop of a hat, I would do just about anything for just about anyone.
Mhm.
And I'm really trying when I'm doing creative type shit, it's all me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm doing shit for me.
Right.
And I guess that's really my, I guess, driving motivation is making sure that I'm doing what I want and I'm satisfied with what I'm doing.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting, and I actually wrote about this in a previous video. Link to that video will be somewhere up here. Hashtag shameless plug. I talked about the idea of being selfish and how I actually think that being selfish is a good thing, opposed to the negative connotation that society's put on it. Because in my head and the way that I view it is once you make sure that you yourself are taken care of, you're happy, you're good, things are rolling, let's just say, then you're more inclined and you're more likely and you're willing to help other people in turn. Because, one of the things, one of like the main, I guess, psychological things, right? It's the, what is it? It's the pyramid of needs. I forget what it's called specifically, but it's basically, you have to make sure that you're safe, you're healthy, and then from there, everything else can roll. And it's kind of very similar to that. Because I know for me, myself, I know that, hey, like give me 5 minutes, let me finish this video, editing it, and then I'll be right downstairs to help you do whatever you need me to help you with. So for me, that's very much the approach that I live by, and that's very different from what society teaches you. But I understand the value of putting yourself first because, like I said, once you're good, your ability and your freedom and your flexibility to in turn help other people with whatever they may need is then increased tenfold because you aren't worried about yourself or the things that you have to do later on in the day.
I have a hard time explaining this now because that's really like hitting home. I can't even really I can't talk now.
Um,
I really need to focus on that more.
it's dude, it's been one of my driving forces for as long as I could remember. I think it's just a super unique way of looking at it, right? Because to me, and this is the big distinction, right? Everyone equates being selfish with being a dick. And to me, that's two very different things. And now at this point, I'm just recycling everything that I said in that video. But basically, to me, the distinction is being selfish is being consciously aware of other people, while being a dick is having blatant disregard for them. Like that's I think that distinction is super powerful because often I think the two are confused, but really they're separate things.
I almost think you need to come up with a different word
Yes,
to describe it
probably. I'm but like, right,
because of the connotation.
right, exactly, and like that, like I said, the connotation with being selfish is the biggest issue with that. It's the biggest issue with the whole thing.
Like, because you're 100% right on that. But every time I hear selfish, I'm like, oh shit, like that's not right. You don't be selfish. Don't.
Kobe Bryant won 5 championships being selfish. I also want to point that out there. R.I.P. R.I.P. to the GOAT.
Yeah,
His jersey's hanging up right over there, by the way. But like, it's like being selfish like is a good thing. It helps propel you, and then can help propel other people if you know how to do it right. But that's the thing. I don't think a lot of people know how to do it.
and that's the way I would want to do it is taking care of my own in addition to myself.
Right, exactly. It's basically this giant snowball effect. So that's one of my longest driving life philosophies that I've been on for who knows how long, but it's basically been cemented as like one of the pillars that I live by. What I'm trying to think. What else do we have to cover here? I mean, we just talked about a lot. Um I do have one final thing that I want to talk to you about. And I feel like I would be remiss, especially by your followers, if I don't ask you about this. Yeah, I think you know where I'm going with this.
I don't know specifically, but
I want to talk about the memes.
okay.
So you are known, infamously or famously. I don't know. I don't know what word you want to use. You
Probably infamous.
you are my favorite account that I follow. I've told you that, but I legitimately mean that. I think I would say 80% of your tweets.
I just I just post about shit. I literally shit post.
You
Like,
shit post, but like that's the thing, right? It's so it goes back to me, and I think this might be another holy shit moment. I don't know. Um, it just goes back to not suppressing your creativity.
And that's exactly what it is just, even if I'm I'm saying the most insane shit I've ever said, even if I'm tweeting on Wine Wednesdays, which are always fun, like, I just go completely unfiltered.
Hmm.
I just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Right. And
And
you've birthed multiple gems. Crab raccoon,
like
one of my favorites.
like and that was just completely random.
Right.
It it all stemmed from seeing a picture, and all I did was just keep tweeting crab raccoon. That was it.
Uh-huh.
I would just type crab raccoon repeatedly. I don't know why. I thought it was funny. And then it turned into, I was literally making up comics and stories just in Twitter threads.
Right.
Shit snowballs, and I don't get why.
But it does.
I don't get. I have no idea why people find the crab raccoon bit so
Right.
funny. A lot of it has to do with drill.
Hmm.
Drill,
Icon. A Twitter icon.
yeah, Twitter icon. A lot of my shit has been inspired through drill.
Hmm.
Just absolutely depths of the mind type shit,
Right.
and putting it to words. And memes are a good way to do it because you can do it so quickly.
And this,
Those are
right,
That's shit that I make that's
takes
like,
5 minutes. Not even.
it takes 5 minutes.
Right.
I don't have to overthink it or think it at all.
Hmm.
In some cases, I don't have to think anything about it.
Yeah.
I just snap my fingers and it's done, and then I have a post. And I guess the most ironic part of it is, I minored in social media.
Hmm.
I hated every second of it.
Really? Well, yeah. Just
Every
I can imagine why, because that's probably just so controlling, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Every social media class I took was fucking awful. I hated it. I hate every second of it because it wasn't. I fully expected it to going in to be about building a personal brand.
Hmm.
It's not. All the classes, it was all marketing classes.
Right.
It was, how can I advance this business that I have no ties to? How can I post for this business to get them more
Hmm.
attention? I don't care.
Right.
I want to. Maybe there's the selfishness that you're talking about. I want to advance my brand.
Yeah.
I want to get myself out there.
Hmm.
And ironically, I've become known as the guy that posts the dumbest shit possible on Twitter.
But it's so fucking funny.
And the hardest part about it is, how do I top it? Like,
Oh, interesting.
and that's what worries me about a lot of the shit that I put out.
Right.
Like my senior project, ever since I submitted it, I have been sweating. How the fuck do I top this?
Hmm.
Like, I don't want to post it and say, oh yeah, this is my like fucking magnum opus or something, because I don't want to box myself like that.
Right.
I don't want to put myself in the mindset like, yeah, this is the best thing I ever have and ever will write. But I'm scared that it is. I I'm scared that I'll never be able to top something like that.
Hmm.
But at the same time, that excites me.
I was gonna say.
That fear.
I was gonna say, did that drive you? I feel like that drives you to kind of see if you can top it, if you do have that
Yeah,
ability.
I love challenging myself with shit like this.
Hmm.
And part of it, this is going to sound really stupid. I almost think it's funny. Like, can I really keep doing this? Like, can I really keep doing this dumb shit or this serious shit and keep getting better and better and better?
Hmm.
Like, where does it end? Does it end where I write a book and I don't have to do anything else ever for the rest of my life? Does it end I'm still living in my parents' house in 25 years?
Hmm.
Like, there's sort of, it's almost like a gamble. I'm almost gambling in a way
Yeah.
of how much better can I get? How much better can what I do get? And how can I make sure that everybody knows that I think I'm getting better? And I guess that goes back into the shit posting thing.
I think it's a really interesting conversation, right? Um, as you've said it, and as I've seen, some of the responses, the response to your senior project, which is now being posted into a variety of articles, for your job, like that's gotten a lot of good feedback. And as you said, like right now, that's like the number one thing that you have created. As for
Yes.
myself, my number one thing I created was a montage video that has like 45,000 views. I would say that, and then probably breaking the Kemba Walker news. Those are probably my 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
So Kemba's probably Kemba should be 1 because I beat Woj and Champs to that.
You've still got to tell me about this.
I do. I got to tell you about
You
this.
told me.
Off,
You
off
told me
cam.
the day before it happened.
I did.
And I still remember this, and I'm like,
yeah.
I remember the feeling of my heart shattering in two when you said this, because I had no reason to believe you, frankly.
No one did.
But I put my trust in you. Like, all right, I'm gonna believe this guy. What's the worst that can happen?
At that point, because I quote met you in March. It was March because I signed on with Queen's Guard in February. So it was probably around March, and then that obviously breaks in towards the end of June. So that we're literally talking about 3 months. So you put your trust in someone who you knew for 3 months, and you're just like, I gotta go with it.
Yeah, like I what would you have to gain out of lying?
Right.
I guess is my logic behind it.
That was a lot of my defense to people who came at my neck over it. It was like, why would I make this up? But back to we'll circle back to this off air, and I'll fill you in on it. But to circle back to the point, right? There is this thought of what can I do? How like this can't be the top. I'm quote too young for this to be the top. So how do we fucking find a way to top it? So like I said, right? So you have this massive catalog of stories that are being posted. I have the Kemba Walker stuff. I have going to the NBA Finals when I'm 21. This can't be it. No. Like I feel like we're just getting started, and that's the fun part.
Yep. Like, because I really can't think of what's next, and that's kind of where the excitement is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I fucking hate surprises, but at the same time, this is different.
Yeah.
Knowing that I have no idea what's next, creatively, whatever, there's a thrill to it in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could have an idea tomorrow that allows me to retire at 30.
Yeah.
Right. Which, if I could do that by writing, I would.
Right, you'd flip
I can't say what I'd actually do.
But that's the thing, right? The amount of things that you would do in order to make that happen, right? Just for the opportunity, you do it in a heartbeat.
Especially if it's doing something that I love doing.
Yeah. One of the things that I think is really fascinating just throughout this conversation is, right, because we know each other, but we don't and our rapport and our chemistry is definitely exponentially went up since the time that we first started talking. But especially just through this, because this is the first time that we were actually speaking to each other, is I feel like you're very naturally confident in what you do. And I feel like that's something, just based off from what I've seen from you, that I don't think you give yourself enough credit for.
See, you must be reading my mind, because I'm literally writing one of these blogs about confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not at all.
Right. And
I'm probably one of the most insecure people around. I think part of it is I'm trying to convince myself in a way, like, because I'll look at my senior project. I could pull it up right now, and I'm like, all right, I did this wrong. I did this wrong. I did that wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can see the things that are wrong that nobody else can see.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I need to convince myself that no, that doesn't matter. Like I'm the fucking shit. Like I did it and I did it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to explain it. I'm like this weird duality of being incredibly confident and incredibly self-conscious
Mm-hmm.
about every single thing in my life. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I can imagine that. You know, and confidence is something that I have a lot of, admittedly, too much. Uh, but it's one of those things where it's a very hard thing to explain. But creative confidence, I think, and I had this conversation with my last podcast guest, he just started creating YouTube videos. And he told me, he's like, I haven't felt this confident in so long because of the stuff that he is putting out he loves. Because that's the thing, right? Me and you and him and anybody who really makes content, if we don't love it, we aren't hitting publish. So
Absolutely.
so there is something to be said of, hey, we made this, we fucking love it, boop, we're gonna hit send. You know, there is like that sense of creative confidence all the way around, and I think that's really the part. Just getting to talk to you here where I feel like you have, but you aren't fully acknowledging. Or not even the fact that you're not fully acknowledging it, it's like you're almost trying to like suppress it. But no. Let that shit loose. Right?
It, I don't even know if it's suppression because it's not intentional.
Yeah, no.
It's like some deep level suppression that
Yeah.
I'm not even aware of.
Uh-huh.
Which is probably even weirder. Like I have no idea why that I'm suppressing it when every time I put something out, everybody's like, "Oh, holy shit. Wow."
Right, it's good.
I'm like, yeah, like maybe I'm too modest.
I think that was the word I was going to use, and I couldn't find it in time to use it. Yeah, I think modest is definitely, well, which like obviously isn't a bad thing, but at what point does that become a detriment to where you do have those false insecurities that aren't actually there?
And that's what I'm really working on. And I don't want to say my advanced age, but my advanced age, I'm really trying to work on being a lot more secure
Yeah.
in the shit that I make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, even just I think overall in a macro sense, um, and you know, Twitter and online has such a very weird way of making people appear ways that they aren't. But just from what I've seen from you, it's like I feel like you're if you all right. So if you think that you aren't there, I think you're close. How's that? Because of the sense as we talked about, right? At your back end of high school is when you did start to just say fuck everything else. I just want to do things how I want to do them. And now you look at things where it's like you have established this brand of teal, of sneakers, of gaming, of Danny DeVito Dorito tattoos, right? So I feel like if security was a mountain, you're very close to reaching the peak of it because at least your online persona, you're very secure in your brand and you know what your brand is.
I always joke that on Twitter I'm basically the same.
Yeah.
If I were to show up at your door tomorrow, I would be the exact same.
That's how I feel about myself as well.
Maybe a bit more exaggerated online
Mm-hmm.
because I have the freedom to
Post
do
whatever.
fuck all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But I have no reason to like put on a mask. If anything, like I said, I guess confidence that I have or don't have is just trying to convince myself.
Yeah.
But it's not exaggerated that much. Like I'm not wearing a mask. Is basically what I'm trying to say. It's really hard to put this shit to words because I've never thought about it.
This is why I'm here, man. I'm doing my job. I love this.
Like,
go ahead.
As a writer, you'd think I'd be able to put shit to words a lot easier, but
it's hard.
Yeah, speaking is a lot harder than actually writing it.
Yeah. I do want to we'll wrap it up with this. I want to talk about this dive into this personal writing that you've started doing. You tweeted out, you're like, hey, I want to, I want to just start writing my thoughts. And then I gave you the link to Medium, which is what I use to where I post all my blogs at. And I love it just because it is super easy. You right click, hit publish, and you're good to go.
Yep.
But I guess what inspired you to do this? Because I read some of it. It is super personal, but it's also super good. And I talked to you about it in the sense of our writing styles are very similar, at least the approach that you took to it, to where it is just very loose, it's very conversational, and it's very informal, but that informalness makes it more digestible to the reader, because that's kind of how I write everything on my end.
I I mean, what started is a friend of mine. She was writing blogs, and she'll never admit it, but I think the way she captures emotion and like pure raw emotion is fucking beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she'll never give herself enough credit for it, but she's amazing. And I saw that, I'm like, I want to try and do it. Like, I have shit that I want to say. I have shit that is swirling in my brain. And it goes back to challenge it. I've never written shit like that before. The two closest things before this that I had written that were in this style were the one about my tattoo, which I'll send you links to include these.
I read
And
that. I
then
read that one. Don't worry, I caught up.
my poem about Kobe when he passed away.
Yeah.
The two of those were the only time I really did personal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else was formulaic journalism 101 type shit because it's what I get paid to do. I never really wrote in my free time like I do now.
Okay.
But as I started doing this, I'm like, I kind of like doing this. I kind of want to do it more and more and more. And it's sort of evolved into this style that I jokingly call thought vomit.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's literally just laying everything that's in my mind out.
Yeah, it just go.
It's words. And obviously, because I'm trained in journalism, it's a bit more polished than literal word vomit.
Yeah.
But it's there. It's raw thoughts. It's what's going on in my brain at the time. Sorry, Mountain Dew's kicking in. I'm drinking a Baja Blast while I'm talking. But no, it's just words. Like, I don't really know how to describe it. Like I'm word vomiting right now. That's what I do, just on a certain topic, like confidence, or another one that I'll probably write eventually is about peaking. Like we were talking earlier.
Yeah. Have you noticed that it's helped you mentally? Being able to release these thoughts instead of just having them inside your head. You actually put them to paper, and it's kind of just this form of mental release.
In a way, actually, I think it's helped confidence-wise.
Yeah.
The two things that have helped my confidence most are cutting all my hair off for some reason. I don't know why that's doing anything for me. Usually when a guy cuts all his hair off, his confidence goes down the shitter.
Mm-hmm.
But cutting all my hair off and writing about this stuff, I don't know, maybe it was just an outlet getting out of a breakup. Maybe it was whatever. But whatever it was, there is a relief to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably because I've never done it before and the novelty will wear off. That could be it, but I'm still enjoying it. I still have a couple of things that I'm working on, probably 4 or 5.
Yeah.
That now after this, I'm going to probably write 3 tonight.
Yeah.
Just because that's what I do.
Yeah, no, I'm very much the same way, right? So the way that I always write my videos, the way that I always write my video scripts they're just thoughts that I have about any given topic. Like, for example, right, confidence and peaking. Those could easily be 2 videos that I write about next week. 2 scripts I have done, and it's not like I am super into like the YouTube algorithm or anything like that, like thinking, oh, what video is going to do well. I don't think like that. I think of what do I want to talk about? What's important to me? What's going on? What's an experience that I had this week that I can relay to help someone else? And that's just how I think, and that's just how I approach all of my writings, all of my videos, all of my podcasts.
And in Medium, every time I go to post something, it gives me the option like, oh, do you want to include this in sharing? No, I don't,
Yeah.
because it's really just for me to write. I haven't looked at the analytics. I don't know who
Yeah.
has read it and who hasn't, and I don't know. It could be 2 people have read each thing that I've written. I've written 4 things.
Right.
2 people could read each one, but I'm feeling better after writing them.
Yeah, and you're like right, and sometimes that's all you need. You know, like
Yep.
I think, and I've talked about this in a video. Shocking, I know. Everyone needs to write a book. That is
Yes.
my newest thing. That, and oddly enough, we started off with this whole conversation with you saying that you want to write a book. So I guess this is just bringing it full circle towards the end here. I think everyone should write a book, because if you were to write, we'll just say you create a story around insecurity and depression. Main character's biggest flaw is insecurity. Side character's biggest flaw is depression. And basically, what you do throughout that story is you ultimately come to a solution, a conclusion of your own thoughts. And so, not only do you have that release, but you also have a finished product, something that you made through your own experiences. And so, I think, like, you don't have to publish it, you don't have to sell it, you can just have it for you. But I think if everyone were to write a book, ultimately, the mental health state of everybody would be in a much better place because of it. It's just a fun, creative way to have that release.
Even if it wasn't a book, we need to encourage shit like that.
Yes.
Because I mean, we could go into an entire thing about mental health treatment, the pros and cons of it here, but no, an outlet. If
an outlet.
Everybody had an outlet that they're secure with, I think we would be a lot better off.
You just said an outlet, and that just sparked something in my head. I think it's really ironic. Not ironic. Ironic's the wrong word. It's very telling, should I say. Do you know what finstas are? Do I have to explain this to you?
No.
You know what a finsta is?
Yes.
All right. I think I've always been anti-finsta because of how transparent I naturally am.
No, me too.
Right, me and you, like, we're just naturally transparent people. We're just gonna shoot the shit how we see it. I do think it's interesting that people use finstas as an outlet for their thoughts, as opposed to using their main Instagram accounts.
Yep. And it's never clicked with me.
I don't know if there's anything inherently wrong with it, but I think it doesn't sit well for me because of the fact that it feels like you're then, I don't know. I think just because of how open I am, just because of how open we are about things, like, why wouldn't you be open about things that you're going through? Like, this is your life, this is your profile, it should be a reflection of you. But I guess if you do want to have that private outlet for your thoughts, just for you, then that's the way to go.
Yeah, like, I've never had that thought of doing something like that because, like you said, transparent as all hell.
Right.
Like, somebody could ask me right now just about basically any experience in my life, and I will be 100% upfront about them.
Absolutely.
Like, I feel no need to hide. If it were something that could possibly ruin a reputation with a job or whatnot, then yeah, I might be a little coy or private message them.
Yeah.
But if it's somebody that I trust and I know that they're not going to, like, blab or something, I'm going to say, like, yeah, this happened, that happened. But I feel no need to go somewhere privately and outlet shit when I can just go on Twitter or write a blog and say, like, oh yeah, for a while I was really fucking depressed. Like, I guess maybe it's comfort. Maybe it goes back to being comfortable enough in my own skin to where I can admit that I've struggled with mental health. And I don't need to, this is probably the wrong term, but I don't need to feel embarrassed to post it in a private place, because that's not really fair to people that, haven't.
Correct. Yeah, that was
they were raised in a different environment,
right,
where they couldn't express themselves.
Yeah, no, that was the point that I was trying. That was the point. That was the line that I was trying to dance around because that's not what I wanted to imply by saying I don't understand people using finstas. Because I quickly changed course and realized why people do. It's just not.
Yeah.
Right. It's just not for us. But yeah, if you want to use it as a private outlet for yourself, like that makes a lot of sense for me. Like
Yep.
I get the reasonings for it. It's just not something I would personally do.
No, I'm in the same way because in putting it to words, because I really don't want to like make it seem like, oh yeah, you're a pussy if you can't talk
Right.
about being
Exactly.
depressed. You can't talk about being depressed on Maine. Like, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. But I'm comfortable saying just about whatever
Hmm. Yeah.
on Maine.
Yeah. Do you think that's? I mean, because as I said, like we're both extremely similar in this way. Why do you think that is? Is it just because we don't give a shit what other people really think? Because
Yeah,
because that's where I'm at. Like it's just it's very blatantly that I do not care.
and I was raised in a house where it. I don't want to say anything goes because I don't want to make it seem like my parents just let me do whatever the hell I wanted.
Right.
But we're all comfortable being ourselves.
Hmm.
I was raised in a house where I was allowed to be myself for better or worse.
Yeah.
And I went through a lot of, I want to say, past versions of me that I'm not a fan of.
Hmm.
Looking back, I wasn't a fan of myself until around probably 2017.
Yeah.
Like all these past versions of me are just, I mean, I wouldn't go back and change anything
Right. Because it led you to where you're at
because
now.
exactly. Like even it goes to like past people in my life. I'm not gonna go get rid of them because it's something ended poorly or any of that. But I'm getting way off topic. But if everything leads to something, and I'm comfortable telling that story, maybe it's just natural because of what I do.
Yeah.
I'm I don't want to come out here and say like, oh yeah, everybody's made for a specific purpose, but I've apparently found a knack for telling stories,
Yeah.
whether it be my story, somebody else's story. Apparently, it's what I'm supposed to do, whether it be by a god, a cosmic force, or my own doing.
I feel like there's no better way to end off the podcast than with that quote. That is chef kiss, picture perfect. Brian, thank you so much for spending the time with me. I think we pretty much went for like an hour and a half. I know we started a little bit before 9. So this was a fantastic episode. Thank you for sharing. I know I coming on here and just talking to me just in general, as this is the first time, like I said, that we've ever actually spoken face to face. Well, I guess screen to screen. And being so comfortable with sharing and just things like that, I really do appreciate it. So I'm gonna give you the floor is yours. Whatever you want to plug, whatever you want to promote, go ahead and do it, my friend. You've earned it.
Well, we're talking about Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at byaugs, Yaugs. My website, brianyauger.weebly.com, is where you can read my senior project that we talked so much about.
Hmm.
You can look at photos I've taken. You can listen to podcasts that I've been on through YSU, which I'll be putting this one on the website too, probably.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Um, Stories I've written, everything. If it's something about me, you can probably find it there.
Hmm.
It tells my story, why I wanted to start writing, even though I talked about it here. I mean, that's really it. Instagram at Brian Yauger. I mean, that's really all I need to plug, I guess.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, once again, my man, thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video and this podcast, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. We try to do this thing 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for your daily source of motivation and inspiration. And hopefully I will see you back here next time.